If you were to go out and buy a product today, whether it's a bottle of medicine, a bag of chips, or a new kind of sneaker that electrocutes you when you're racist, you expect the product has been tested and verified as safe for human use. But society hasn't always enjoyed such luxury, as we're about to see. In our list of 7 deadly products from history you could actually buy. At number 7, Mrs. Winslow's Soothing Syrup. Today, if you want to settle your kids down for the evening, you just sit them in front of the TV and pump the little shit machines full of carbohydrates. But in the 19th century, they had a different solution: Mrs. Winslow's Soothing Syrup. This syrup was an extremely popular drug amongst parents of the time, as not only did the makers claim it could calm rowdy children, they also said Mrs. Winslow's Soothing Syrup could allay all pain, cure wind, colic, and diarrhea, and that it could help kids with teething trouble get to sleep. And you know what? This product dang well worked a treat, because how could it not when the 2 main ingredients of Mrs. Winslow's Soothing Syrup were morphine and opium. Despite professing to be safe for children's consumption, countless newspaper reports of infant deaths from the time prove otherwise. The strong depressants in Mrs. Winslow's Soothing Syrup slowed children's heart rates to a deathly slow pace. Yet people still used it up until 1906, when the Pure Food and Drug Act prevented such dangerous medicines being sold without prescription. 6. The Gilbert Atomic Energy Lab. Remember when using coconut oil became popular overnight and everyone used it for pretty much everything? Frying foods, moisturizing your skin, brushing your teeth, easing the passage of non-lubricated insertables. We couldn't get enough of the stuff. Well, in the 1950s, the world had a similar obsession with an equally fascinating substance, but unfortunately, that substance was uranium. And this highly radioactive material even found its way into children's toys. The Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab cost $50 and included 4 different types of uranium ore, a Geiger counter, a miniature cloud chamber, and various other instruments for measuring how many deadly tumors you could look forward to. The kit also included a government manual instructing children on how to prospect for more uranium themselves. And anyone who discovered a previously untapped source could receive a $10,000 reward. Thankfully, the lab's high price prevented many from being able to afford the set, and it was discontinued in 1952. Surprisingly, no deaths were attributed to the toy's use, with creator Alfred Carlton Gilbert claiming the radioactive material was safe to handle. But this was back in the 50s, and regulations were a little slack back then. So nothing like this could ever happen today. Could it? Number 5. The CSI Fingerprint Kit. In 2001, the TV series Crime Scene Investigation made its debut on our screens, followed by 2002 CSI Miami, 2004 CSI New York, and CSI Cyber in 2015. But one spin-off which didn't quite catch on was 2007's CSI Dead Cancer Kids, although as you will shortly find out, it may get a rerun sometime in the future. The CSI Fingerprint Examination Kit was a science kit based on the show which allowed children to play at solving crimes by dusting for fingerprints. Unfortunately, the dust used in these fun little games contained asbestos. You know, that friendly little cancer-causing dust whose very presence causes whole buildings to be evacuated and shut down? As much as 7% of the dusting powder was found to be made up of tremolite, the most dangerous type of asbestos. And an investigation by the Environmental Working Group stated that this was more than enough to cause cancers later in life for those exposed. Oh well, at least when all these kids start dying in 30 years' time, it won't take a cheesy montage backed by techno music to figure out why. In at 4, the road to death. Cars are a pretty dangerous product already, but if you ever find yourself driving a 2011 Kia Rio on Firestone tires, you may want to say goodbye to your loved ones before you put the key in the ignition. In the year 2000, Firestone recalled 6.5 million tires after reports of their tire peeling and separating from the main body of the tire. As many as 175 deaths and over 700 injuries were linked to the faulty tire, and similar figures have been posted for some of history's deadliest automobiles too. Historically, the Ford Pinto from 1971 to 1980 is remembered as the worst, due to the car's nasty habit of exploding if a car so much as dinged its rear end. This was due to its flawed rear-mounted fuel tank, and out of 2.2 million vehicles sold, it was estimated 180 people died driving these death traps before it was recalled. But this ratio of 81 deaths per million pales in comparison with the Kia Rio. Released in 2011, the Rio is apparently deadlier than borrowing Charlie Sheen's toothbrush, with a shocking 149 deaths per million drivers, making it the deadliest car on the road today. Yet despite this statistic, no major recalls have ever been ordered by the Kia company. 3. The Heidelberg electric belt. Are you a weak and feeble man suffering from nervousness, impotence, or infertility? Then why not purchase a giant power Heidelberg electric belt and shock your problems away? Available in 40, 60, and 80 gauge versions, this battery-powered monstrosity used electrodes to stimulate gentlemen into a state of readiness, which is another way of saying it would shock your cock and balls right off. I guess once you've had direct current applied to your genitals, whatever you were nervous about doesn't seem as important anymore. Adverts for the belt, which was sold in Sears for around $18 a pop, promised to penetrate every nerve of the body. That's a promise I'd be happy for them not to keep. But the most disturbing part is that any dissatisfied customers could return the belt after 10 days trial for a full refund. Let's hope they at least wipe the things down before selling them on to some other flaccid, anxious man. Because if you're gonna zap your junk, you don't want to do it using a secondhand ball shocker. Number 2. Deadly Beauty. You know how using a chapstick actually makes your lips drier over time, causing you to rely on them ever more? Well, the same thing happened to ladies of the 18th and 19th centuries who used the bloom of Ninone makeup. If you replaced a cracked and dry kisser with a face like a paralyzed Mose Sislak. Bloom of Ninone was one of many popular lead-based makeup sold at the time, and increased exposure to the white lead used caused women to suffer yellowed skin and facial paralysis, as well as severe bad breath, gray hair, constipation, blue gums, and brown teeth. That's a look even Lady Gaga wouldn't try to pull off. And this is a lady who wears hot pants made of brisket. Thankfully, the use of lead-based makeup eventually fell out of favor, to be replaced by arsenic. Hooray! Dr. Mackenzie's improved, harmless arsenic complexion wafers were one such product. And you know something's not going to be good for you when the word harmless is printed on the box. These wafers made women's skin pale by destroying red blood cells, and many women went blind thanks to its use. Other deadly ingredients in old-timey makeup included mercury, deadly nightshade, and radioactive radium, as you can see in this advertisement for Radior chin straps from 1915. You know what? I'm beginning to think that Jack the Ripper wasn't an evil murderer after all. He was just an innocent man trying to protect himself from radioactive Victorian lady mutants. And number 1, cigarettes. This one may seem a pretty obvious pick for number 1, and surely we all know by now that cigarettes are super bad for your health, but it's only when you see the staggering figures involved that you begin to realize the true impact of smoking on the world's population. Over the course of the 20th century, the World Health Organization estimates tobacco use has killed 100 million people, with that number expected to rise to 1 billion by the end of the 21st century. While fewer people in the West are taking up smoking, in Asia, Africa, and South America, the opposite is taking place. And a statement from the Governance of Tobacco in the 21st Century Conference, held at Harvard, pegged smoking as the biggest obstacle to global development faced by humanity. Forget wars, forget racism, forget lack of access to food or water, and forget giant asteroids hurtling through space coming to annihilate us all. The biggest hurdle to humanity right now is simple. It's those tiny little cancer sticks in your shirt pocket. Each cigarette is estimated to knock 11 minutes off your life. each one containing over 50 carcinogenic substances. And the best part is that they don't only kill you, but also your friends and family, too. Yippee! Secondhand smoke causes 40,000 deaths a year. And Mother Nature's got a hacking cough, too, thanks to the 600 million trees a year cut down for tobacco products. The crazy thing is that not only were cigarettes initially thought to be safe, some doctors even claimed they were beneficial to your health. Based on this misleading beginning and the damage they've caused, history will surely judge cigarettes and tobacco products as the single worst product ever sold. Partially because of the cost to human life, but also because we made monkeys do it. We peer-pressured monkeys into smoking. First Harambe, and now this. What have we become? So those were the 7 deadliest products from history you could actually buy. But if you prefer to be killed in a more natural way, perhaps one of the 7 strangest disasters in history would be preferable, as we investigated in this video right here.